Hi guys and welcome to today's video. I do apologise for its slight tardiness. You can indeed blame the music students that live downstairs. I keep saying this and it's almost like a joke. It is a joke to me. Like, they genuinely never practice any of the time but when I'm trying to film. I'm sure quite a few of you saw that I posted an Antwerp vlog this time last week, and for those of you who don't know, I'm Belgian. I'm also bilingual. I speak Flemish. That is my first language, my mother tongue. But I've lived here since I was in the UK since I was 2, or even younger than 2. My entire education has been in English, so I just kind of wanted to talk about my relationship to my mother tongue, my first language. I haven't really decided what to word this video. I'm sure I shall consult Ophelia on said topic. That also reminds me, I'm sure many of you have met Ophelia on my channel before. If you haven't, if you go subscribe to Ophelia there, she does language videos. She actually interviewed me on Flemish a while ago, so that video will be linked down below and at the end for you if this video interests you at all. So yeah, I just wanted to talk, like, this is unscripted. You may notice that I'm probably gonna ramble a little bit, so do bear with. If there's anything I leave unfinished, unsaid, that you have questions about, hit me up in the comments. I shall of course get back to you. So what prompted this video idea was that when I was there, I just sort of noticed a change in my relationship to like Flemish and how I speak. Well, it's Dutch, but Flemish is the dialect, so it's just how I speak it. I think certainly the main thing is like it's a register thing. It's like a register of language thing. I find it very frustrating because I pride myself on like how well I speak English, if that makes sense. One of my favourite compliments I get is when someone says, wow, Emma, you know, in that video you said that very eloquently. Like, I take it very, like, I really pride myself on it. So I find it very, very frustrating. Especially, I have this in French as well, where like if you're not able to express yourself the way you want to, and for Flemish it's always a register thing. Like, it really bothers me. I mean, as a child, my parents spoke to me in Flemish all of the time, like absolutely all of the time. I went to primary school, well, the three of us did, without speaking a word of English. So like, we picked it up at school, we learnt it that way. So my entire childhood and any vocab to do with that is very much, it's very like right at the forefront of my mind. Like, I find it very easy. But I realised, like, ever since being at uni, when I'm trying to explain to my cousins, my aunt, my uncle, my grandparents about my course and stuff, I just don't have the words for it. It's so irritating. I have to, like, it really is, you're just learning things from scratch in a way that's just so frustrating. Because if I talk to my parents about it, we discuss that all in English. You know, it's the language I've been educated in, it's the language I understand best. So certain things and certain like more complicated things, we always talk about that in English. Like at home, or domestic things, we still talk about them in Flemish. Like, certain topics prompt the use of certain languages. So it's just so very irritating when I want to say a thing and I can't say it, and then I have to change language in order to express the way that I feel. It's very, very frustrating. It's more so frustrating with like my grandparents, because I realised how many times I have to like interrupt myself and ask my grandma, what's the word for this? How do I say this? And then when they are then like speaking back to me in like a higher register, often they will say words I actually don't understand. That drives me nuts. It's something my dad often does. Like, if my dad, you know, comes home and he like starts talking to me about something like businessy, and depending on who that's related to, if he's speaking in Dutch, often there are words in there that I don't understand and I have to stop him. And then I'm like, what was that word you used? And he's like, this word? I'm like, no, the word, like, just very irritating in terms of like the flow of conversation. And I think it's, in French it irritates me less because I expect it much more, because it is a language I've been learning since I was, obviously, like, it's not my first language, but that's the thing, is like, you expect your first language to be your best language, but for me it's not, because it's not the language I've been educated in, which makes such a difference. And I think it's also frustrating at the moment for me because my older brother is studying in Amsterdam, so he's like learning from that as well. So the idea, like, we kind of, the three of us kind of compete as to who can speak Flemish the best, and we get very offended if one of our grandparents says, oh, you can speak it better than you. And while this changes, like, it's very irritating, and we do get competitive over it, because I don't know, it's like, I consider it something that very much ties me culturally to Belgium, and basically, like, I know that if I didn't have that language aspect, I wouldn't feel as Belgian as I do, if that makes sense, because obviously, like, I'm almost entirely integrated in British culture. So it's like this, it's just that one thing that makes me be able to say to people, look, I'm not English, because obviously most people, well, I mean, you, I wouldn't blame you if most people think I am English, but I'm like, but I'm not. I think I'm less like that now that I've been living in London. If Heeey once mentioned that to me, she feels like I say that less, which is true. At school I was always like, no, I'm Belgian. And here I'm like, no, I'm just cosmopolitan. Everybody speaks a language. So, I don't know. It's just frustrating realising like that as I'm getting older. It's like, oh yeah, but basically because as you get older, obviously you're expected to have to be able to have a higher register of language. And I think uni has really prompted that. It's just, it's just frustration. And I'm sure so many people must feel this with like any language that, when you have multiple languages, it's always going to be that feeling, because there's always going to be one you can do better than the other. But the fact also is with uni that like, even with English, I'm constantly learning new words, but it's just that with that, it's a lot more easy to deal with, because the main thing I use Siri for is basically I'll read a word and be like, Siri, define blah blah blah. That's all I use Siri for, is defining words. Really useful, by the way. I know I'm learning new words in English all the time, it's just the way I go about acquiring those new words is so different in English than it is with Flemish, because then I have to stop a conversation, I have to ask somebody how I say it or what they said, and with that it's more like, that's more like private, and this is more like public almost. Do you get that? Like, and it's one of the reasons that I know at some point in my life, like, I do want to live in Belgium, and I just want some time to just soak up that language, to just, you know, bring it to a higher level, which is so, I know it's easy to do, and that's what's kind of annoying about it, is like, I know if I spend a bit more time there, it's easily done, and then you like don't forget it, because I have such a solid base with Flemish, but it's so, it frustrates me because I know it's so like easy to do, and that's why it's so frustrating, because it's just even a weekend, and like, you know, when you just know that if you just stayed a little bit longer, because I don't know, it's just I want to say more things and I just don't have the words to say said things. I guess that's part of the thing of when like you move to a country with different languages, and also when the country you move to does not teach ever the language that you speak, and does not have a very big community of speakers. I feel like I noticed that less with my parents, because I do know quite a lot of like Belgians in London. It just bugs me, and it makes me feel like I'm not a real Belgian because of the fact that I can't do that. I mean, also it's like, oh my god, the worst thing is the accent thing. I know that I do not have the same accent when I speak that all my family does, who live in Belgium, but I also know that I don't think it's like an English accent, so they say that I speak Flemish with an English accent, and it bugs the hell out of me. I'm like, because obviously, like, it's the language I learned first, so then how is the language I learned second having an influence on the way I speak the one I learned first? Like, in my head, I'm like, this shouldn't be a thing. I think that's mainly what I have to say about it. I should probably speak to my older brother about it, I think, because, like, my mum and my dad often, like, giggle about the fact that some of the phrases Louis started using are very, like, Dutch phrases, and about the fact that he is, like, slowly acquiring a Dutch accent when he speaks. So I'd still rather have an English accent when speaking Flemish than a Dutch one, but hey-ho, anyway. And it's also because, like, because it is my first language, I almost have I have just far too much pride to do what I do in French, just, you know, find a vocab list. Like, that is the last thing I'm gonna do. Like, even though I know it could be really helpful, I'm just not gonna do that. Like, I'll have to do it with the French, because French is a language I have been taught to do that with. Flemish is not, so it's like, my mum's always like, Emma, read the news. Honestly, I need to find some, just like, because I do this with French, I need to find some decent Flemish speaking YouTubers, because I found some, but they're like really DD tags and this shit. Okay, if any of you are Flemish speaking, please, for the love of God, leave Flemish Dutch. Please leave me some like Flemish Dutch speaking YouTubers in the comments that are like actually good, not horrifically generic. That would be incredible. Oh, also any French ones. Okay, so to summarise, very frustrating with differences in register of language use that I've noticed, mainly since being at uni, because the language I've needed has changed and I don't have it. So I'm realising like the limits, I'm realising the limitations of the language that I have. I'm also then, in contrast, realising how good my English is, My French is still shit, but that's not the point. I'm more motivated to do something about it, but just not sit down and read vocab, obviously. Also, if I have any like French or like Flemish speaking shows, I think that's a really good way. So if you have any favourites, leave me those down below. Also, like, it's a family tradition that my grandparents always buy as like a box set of like a really good Flemish TV show to watch over Christmas. So I'm really looking forward to that. I don't know why you had to, I don't know why that was relevant, or any French ones, but yeah. Okay, so I think BBC 4 is really good ones. Leave me any recommendations of those you have below. How many languages do you speak? Do you have any of these struggles, you know, with like kind of like mother tongue versus language in which you're educated? Do you see why this is a really hard video to title? Like, subscribe and all that jazz, and I shall see you guys very soon. Wait. If you didn't know, I'm dyslexic, which was also one of the reasons I find language learning hard, but look. If you're dyslexic and you didn't know, guys, if you get tinted lenses on glasses, it makes it so much easier to read stuff, because you know how the lines move? They don't move. It's amazing. Anyway, I got new ones. They're purpley. The ones I had before were like blue toned, but yeah, just like if you are dyslexic, forever helpful. Okay, right, I'll round this video up. I'm rambling. Also, I saw Chris's jumper. Look how pretty it is. It's like a peachy thing, and then I changed my name on his phone to Princess Peachy. God, can you tell this is unscripted? Right. Thanks for all that jazz. I will see you guys hopefully on Thursday. I've been busy. But no, I'm just tired. Okay. Like, it's that point in the year, guys. It's that point in the year. Anyway, like, subscribe and all that jazz. I also, oh, I haven't plugged my social media. What kind of a fucking YouTuber am I? At Sarcastic Fish on everything. I wonder if there's any of you going, who the fuck is Sarcastic Fish? Me! If you're new, there's a lot of new people, but me! I am some Sarcastic Fish. Like, subscribe and all that jazz. I will see you guys very soon. Bye. Ooh. I'm wearing lip gloss.